Hello, everybody. Well, I pray everybody's doing good, and I pray everybody's being blessed, and the angels of the Lord is watching over your family, your home, and your jobs. Well, we got some more bad weather coming in, more sleet and ice, and I like to never got in on the last run, but anyway, I got a little time off waiting on this weather. But my goodness, have you all been hearing the news and watching this stuff? And my word, we're in a hard road. And it's going to get a lot harder of what's going on in the world and what's happening with all of the terrorists and the outbreaks and all these people of Islam and Hamas trying to destroy the world and overtake the lands. And well, they're playing prophecy. And the president of our own United States has shamed us. And everybody knew that he was a sworn Islam, Muslim, whatever it is, he wishes to claim, shakes the hand of Iran and says he's going to set everything up to where they can't get their nuclear bombs, but they're going to keep them in sanctions. Well, that'll only last for like 20 years, and then that is released. Oh, my Lord. Even if they place sanctions on them to allow them to continue in their programs, these countries are sworn to blow up Israel and America. They're sworn to it. And they're bringing their threats all across the world. And here he's just setting it all up. So him and the new Pope of Rome that they chose, because he was going to approve of all the things that God declared to be an abomination, and so does Obama. So does Hillary Clinton. She don't see anything wrong with it. They knew where to get the votes. And we are in trouble. Every bit of this is setting up the end times of putting things into play. For the rest of it to come into busting open the doors of what's going to happen here to this country and the nations, of forcing this stuff upon other nations and blackmailing Israel to force them into signing programs and peace treaties when they can't get along. And it's a mess. But every bit of this is playing a role in the end times. It's just unbelievable, but it's right there at us of what this world and this country are proving and telling the whole world that you just have to get used to it. You know, that the gospel people just saying that their old-time teaching is old-time preaching, as if it's not for today. As if it's got nothing to do with today. Just let them do. Well, this country's going to pay to its every bit of price. Disaster upon disaster is coming to this nation. No one wishes to hear of it, and no one likes to hear about people dying and disasters happening. But the Lord made a promise right there in the days of old to any nation that approved the things that he declared to be an abomination, that he would send his wrath upon that nation over and over. Now, it didn't totally annihilate all those nations, that there wouldn't be any more people left upon those lands. But millions and into the millions and thousands upon thousands and millions have died in all those disasters in foreign lands. When all those earthquakes and tsunamis came in, it always seemed to always hit foreign nations and countries. But it didn't totally wipe them out as a people or wipe out their countries and nations. They remained and survived. Those disasters and those earthquakes and those fault lines, wherever they're going to be, they're going to break. And they're going to rumble this earth like never before. Over and over, they're going to hit when they least expect it, even if things calm down for 3 and 4 years maybe, and nothing happens to this nation. But it's going to hit this nation, and those tsunamis is just going to start wiping things out. The disasters upon disasters of world-breaking winds beyond F5 storms is going to go across this nation. And disaster upon disaster is coming onto this nation. For it's approving the things that God declared to be an abomination. This country is going to play its #1 role in gathering the power of the nations into the power of a nation. And this is what Obama is doing. And then all that power is handed over unto the man when they claim they found their Messiah and their God walks among them. Every bit of this is setting things up. And all of these people who love the abominations and see nothing wrong with it, claiming that's of the old times, it's got nothing to do with today, and setting all this stuff in the churches and telling ministers that if they don't approve marrying people and marrying anybody you please, and if they don't approve of it, telling the Pope even told all those ministers, those priests, that if they didn't approve of it and refused to do one of those weddings, that they must step down from the parishes and put somebody in there that will approve it, because they can't withstand any more lawsuits and the fights and the battles and of course, just, you know, to settle it all down and just let them do. The women sitting on one side holding hands, and the men sitting in the church with their arms around one another. Where's the children going to sit? Right there in the middle of it, you know. And they're even allowed to adopt children. You know, you can't stop them. You can't discriminate. Teaching those kids there ain't nothing wrong with this stuff. There ain't nothing wrong with it, you know. And some of those people even have children from past marriages. And they've all, most of them all stated they want their children to be the same way they are, because they don't see anything wrong with it. Well, neither did the people that died in the flood, of the great flood of Noah. There wasn't one person that died out of all those millions of people that didn't believe there was anything wrong with what they was doing when the great flood came in the days of Noah. There wasn't one person that died in the lands of Sodom and Gomorrah that didn't believe that there was anything wrong with what they were doing. They was even trying to pull that stuff on the angels of the Lord, but yet they didn't know they was angels when the angels blinded them, and the angels seen to it that Lot and his family was at least on their way up to safety. And then fire and brimstone came down all those thousands of years to show the world that the Lord meant business when he could have done this to the whole world, but yet things had to evolve into the way and to the world of the things setting up as the Lord had his mind already set in the world, and how he would handle it and how he was going to do it, even bring it all the way to the end, giving people time to finally take heed and finally listen. Who's going to hear and who's going to forbear? Now, I'm telling you now, this world wants to approve everything that God declared to be an abomination, setting it into the churches. All these states approving, just let them do. And soon, and we have states that's standing up trying to block this and to stop this, but eventually they're going to get it through. It's sad to say, and we'd all say, God forbid, who loves the gospel and actually knows the truth of any of it. We all say, God forbid, but all they have been taught how to get those people out of the courts and get them out of the high seats, and just get people in there voted in that will approve it. Eventually, they're going to get this thing passed all across the nation, and when every nation, every state has approved of the things that God declared to be an abomination, everybody just has to get used to it. This earth is going to rumble. The heavens are going to shake, and this earth is going to rumble like never before. Disaster upon disaster and is going to come upon this nation. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to listen to it. Nobody wants to be concerned. You know, we all got to take care of our own lives. We can't. There ain't a whole lot we can do about any of this stuff, but just keep praying and hold on. But yet the gospel people can't stand up. They can't stop fighting one another. They can't stop hating one another. They can't stop fighting over the teaching. You know, they fight over the most pitiless stuff while souls are being weighed in the balance. You know, they fight over the most nonsense in the programs that we have in Pal Talk. Pal Talk has a wonderful, wonderful program. I mean, it just really is an awesome, amazing program. But you can't go into a gospel room that's supposed to be gospel and listen to a bunch of fighting, a bunch of arguing, and a bunch of students and novelists fighting over the teachings. You know, they're not willing to sit down and learn. They're too busy fighting one another. They're too busy fighting over their doctrines while souls are being weighed in the balance. Fighting on how to get to the kingdom of heaven and who's going to be qualified to even be there. You know, they can't stop fighting one another in those rooms. And the Bible spoke that God is not of the spirit of confusion, but of peace and of a sound mind. How in the world is the children going to learn anything in any of those rooms with all those people bombarding everybody and fighting one another? And they just love to hear them fight. They just love to hear them fight. My word, just let them fight. It's what they say. You know, you bring a real gospel man in there and they'll bounce him right out of the room. They don't want to hear no gospel. They don't want to hear anything about doing what the Bible said. But yet they want to get up there and tell them what they believe the Bible said. Most of them didn't even read it in the first place. And yet they want to tell everybody what the Bible said and how it is out there in the world. This world and this nation, you know, we're lucky to have 5% that even believes there actually is a God. When they've done their statistics all the way across this nation over and over for the past 10 years, they've done their statistic only asking the question, do you really believe there really is a God? Not even counting that God gave His Son on the cross, just that very question alone, do you actually believe there really is a God? 85% of the people clicked on the word no. They don't believe there ever was such a thing. 85% of this nation of America, with all these churches and all these cathedrals and all these people, out of all the people, you know, that actually goes to any churches, 85% of the people of America says there's no such thing as a God, let alone His Son that was on the cross. And He rose Him up on the third day to set Him at the right hand. Hello. Waiting for the Father to blow the trumpet to send His glorious Son and gathering the people unto the kingdom. Hello. 95% of the people in those statistics was asked the second question. Do you think there's anything wrong with America and the people marrying anybody you please? 95% of the people clicked on the word no. They don't believe there's anything wrong with marrying anybody you please. There went 10% when we had 15 willing to stand up and say there is a God. There went 10% of the gospel people that they're all convinced that it's just a way of life. No one said we was to hate them or be mean to them, but them pushing their life upon us in front of our children and your mother and your grandmother, your wife, your husband, they don't care. It's all out in the world now. They just say, hey, you go to your church and just leave us alone. What do? Every bit of this is walking into the doorsteps. That give us down to 5% if we could even find the people, but they're too busy fighting one another. They're too busy hating one another. They're too busy fighting over the teaching. When God's not the author of confusion, but of peace. How's those children going to learn anything when all of those people are grown-ups and claim they love the Lord Jesus and claim their names are in the Lamb's Book of Life and saying surely they'll be called up there when that resurrection comes. But yet they hate one another. They fight one another. They slap one another. And they'll bounce any minister that tries to help them and to show them what's actually written in the Word. That God has no part of this arguing and fighting and arguing. How's the children going to learn anything when all of the grown-ups, people who're supposed to be grown and have wisdom and knowledge? How's the children going to learn anything? Well, the children's going to get it from the grown-ups. And all these people that won't stop fighting one another while souls are being weighed in the balance and time is running out for the calling of the Gentiles to come unto a close. It's running out. And it's coming to the end of that dispensation to where nobody's going to know the truth of any of it. Here we're down to 5% that's willing to stand up and say, we do believe that what they're doing and approving is against God's Word. That's why the blood's going to run into the bridle of the white horse at the end. At the end of the 7 years. And He must resurrect the saints and present them before the throne, because when He's riding that white horse and steps upon the Mount of Olives, the whole earth is gone filthy. There's none righteous, no, not one. For they have all worshipped the beast, for they've all taken the mark. They don't want to listen to their own Bibles. They just want to go by what the ministers have made it out to say, when they can't back up anything they got. But that's who the people have sworn to and love and follow and listen to. Hey, Powell's got some of the most awesome programs. They really did. Those, and they're not being a respecter of person. You got to give them that. They just let them do whatever you want. It's your room. It's your room. Talk about whatever you want. Run it the way you see fit. And all those rooms do that proclaims to be gospel, they're a disgrace. They claim to be prophetic. They claim to be helping the people. But all it is pathetic. All it is pathetic. They have no respect for one another. They're too busy hating one another, fighting over the teaching. Why, this country is going to doom. And souls are being weighed in the balance. That calling unto the Gentiles is coming to a close, people. For the other rainbow to open in the dispensation to where the whole earth is going to go filthy. And no one's going to know the truth of any of it. The Bible even proclaims that it has to go so far that no one will know the truth of any of that Bible. And for that to take place, the resurrection must take place. So that the whole world won't know the truth of any of it. Oh, I'm sure there'll be bound to be a few out there that will say maybe we missed the resurrection after all. But it's too late. But there'll be one last final preserving of a special remnant of his people in the great tribulation. When the seals have been set. When they place that crown upon that man, whenever that is, and proclaim they found their Messiah, and he's met the scriptures in the flesh in front of them that they will accept, that starts the 7 years, people. All of this other stuff is leading things up to it, but yet that man hasn't come into power and play yet. Every last bit of this with Hamas and all of this stuff that's going on in Iran and all, every last bit of this and what they're doing against Israel and boxing them in, every last bit of this is setting things up. And we're in trouble. I don't think we got that long. I really don't. After all this that I've seen that's been going on in the world and what I've seen that they're doing in the churches and approving across this nation, I really don't think we got that long. I'm just giving you my opinion. All these guys are speculating when the resurrection is going to come. Their speculations of nonsense. Anyway, guys, I love you. But I'm telling all of you up front, no matter who's going to watch it, I don't know. When they get this stuff approved all across the nation and everybody's approved of it, the churches and the states, all of the states, earthquakes, tsunamis, disasters, world-breaking winds, snow where it doesn't snow, rain where it doesn't rain, and the Lord's going to withhold the rains where it does rain, and he's going to bring it where it don't, and there goes the floods. When those major fault lines begin to break, whenever that is, it may rip right through some of those dams that's holding back all the waters in the lakes, and there goes the floods. Thousands upon thousands of people in this country, I'm sorry, they're going to die. There's not one bird that falleth from the sky that the Lord don't know about. In every disaster that's ever taken place in history, from our country or to any disaster around the world in history, there wasn't one person that died that the Lord didn't know. He knew which ones had their names in the Lamb's Book of Life, and they died. Their time on this earth was over. And he also knew which ones just simply wasn't coming unto the Lord. And they died. In every resurrection there was to take place, whenever that was, Some shall be taken and some shall be left. Well, which way will they be taken and which way will they be left? I'm sorry, guys. I want to go on record. I don't have 1 million followers, you know, like all these other people in their speculation and presuming and possibilities. You can't even get them to share the films, you know. They're too busy watching all that other nonsense and garbage. But I pray for you and your children. I pray your names are in the Lamb's Book of Life. I pray it really is found. But these disasters are coming, and the end times is being set upon us. I don't think we have that long. But may you have your heart right with the Lord. If somehow in any of them out there ends up being in any of those disasters that's going to come. When's the resurrection? I don't know. But I don't think we got that long. May you all be blessed. And I do thank any of you that's maybe been watching some of these films. I don't know. A lot of times people don't get a lot of publicity and assistance from others until after the man's already dead. That's when everybody starts watching the fella. It's not when he's alive. Because they're going to listen to a bunch of buffoons that's tickled the ears of the sons and daughters of the Lord's own people. That's who they're going to listen to. The soothsayers and the gainsayers. The prophet wannabes. And yet they have no gifts as to what those men that was recorded in that Bible had. God help us. Time's running out, people. We got to get our lives right. Because I don't think we got that long. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.